Great seeing you here again. My name is Luc de Koster, founder of the Koster Academy. And in this video, I will talk about project execution, monitor and control. But before we continue, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. So let's have a look. We finished the project plan. So the planning step is completed. And what happens now? Now, we have at the end of the planning a very good view about the risks, the timing and the cost of the project, and we can evaluate what to do next. Now, when the risks are acceptable, we may decide to continue with the project. If not, we already may cancel the project. It's possible that we detected some additional risks that we did not know about when we started with the evaluation of the project, and risks that have been discovered during the planning step. Once the risks are too high, we will have to stop, or we may decide to stop the project. Now, the same thing for the timing. Can we provide the project on time? Is it possible to finish the project the way it was defined and provide the solution to the customer on time? The last element, here we have to verify the cost. What is the cost of the project? We can have a look at the return on investment policy, and we have to identify if the project still can be profitable. If it's not profitable, it may better be that we are in fact cancelling the project. In case we cancel, we've said it before, we go straight to the closing step of the process, project management process, and we put all the valuable elements there that can be used for later projects. Now, once we start with the project, we are creating the deliverables. The activities start as planned. We have the baselines and we create the deliverables. Each deliverable that has been created will be reported during the weekly progress meeting. Now, it can be when there are a lot of deliverables, we can have a summary overview, but it's very important to report how the status is related to creating the deliverables. Now, based on the progress and the planned value of the deliverables, we can update the Gantt chart with the schedule information and compare the value created with the planned and actual costs of the work completed. So that's more a part related to earned value management. Now, when we are in execution, the tasks of the project manager and the team change. Now, certainly there are different things. We've been making the plan, we've been communicating with stakeholders, we've been doing a lot of calculations. Now, the team will be managing and creating the deliverables, reporting progress and cost, and everything will be presented during the weekly meetings, the weekly status meetings. Now, the project manager evolves from a planner to a communicator, and it is estimated that about 95% of the work of the project manager is about communicated internally and externally. The project manager also must verify the quality and report progress to the stakeholders. Now, when we look at the monitor and control process, progress is typically reported on the Gantt chart, and we can see a very nice view how the project is going. Now, here we have the purple line. The purple line is today, and we see the black lines in the activities showing how much of the work has been done. This is a very important report because in this case, we see, for example, that activity C is only completed for 67%, where we wanted to have 100%. So here we created 67%, 2/3 in 3 periods, so that activity will take longer. Critical path is okay, and in this case for activity C, we still have enough slack. We also can say that activity A was finished on time, otherwise activity C would have started later. Now, the other thing what we are looking at is the cost, and we have 4 possibilities here. So 1, 2, and 3, although they are below and above the S-curve, we can still keep on working because the budget is still okay. Number 4, we're above the budget. It means that in this moment, the project will have no funding anymore and it will be stopped. The work can continue once we have again new funds that will be released in the next period. Now, the relative positions of the budget 1, 2, and 3, we will see later in earned value management that it doesn't mean that we are on a good way when the cost is below or on the S-curve or above, we are in a bad way. No, there are other things that we have to do. Typically, in the classic evaluation of the project, when we're looking at cost, position 1 and 2 would be considered very positive, and people would see at the end that something is wrong. So basically, there is a parameter missing, and that's what will be covered in earned value management. Now, when we are doing the execution, we have different meetings. Now, we have different meetings that can be organized, and each meeting has its specific goal. It is very important to plan those meetings properly, to have proper agendas, and to identify all the participants for these meetings. It is not a good practice just to invite everybody, and we will see what will happen. A lot of people may be sitting there and basically losing their time. Now, the main meeting is the status meeting, and here we report status. Status, where is the project? But we can also have a summary here, we should have a summary here related to risks, technical issues, and changes. Now, other meetings that we can have, risk meetings. When we have a large project, we can have a dedicated risk management and risk meetings. Technical meetings, very important to move them away from the status meeting, because the technical meetings can be done, let's say, in parallel by the people who have been assigned to resolve the technical issues, and the results can be reported to the team during the status meetings. Change management meetings, typically designed for change management, and here the change control board will look at the proposed changes. An interesting or very important element in project management today is what we call earned value management. We have in fact the planned value. The planned value is the value we expected to earn at a specific moment. The earned value is the value that we actually earned, and the actual cost is how much we actually paid to earn that value. Now, in this specific case, we see that the earned value is lower than the planned value, which immediately results in the fact that the project is behind. We are not delivering the deliverables or creating the deliverables in a way that it will help us. Now, we are behind. On the other hand, we look at the actual cost. The actual cost we have to verify with the earned value. We created those deliverables, we created a certain value, and the actual cost determines or gives us how much we pay to create that value. Here we see that the actual cost is higher than the earned value, so we paid too much. There is something wrong with our estimates. In this specific case, we have a project which is late and we are over budget. What are the main parameters in earned value management? We have the schedule variance and the cost variance. Schedule variance is earned value minus planned value. Cost variance is earned value minus the actual cost. And we see them here on the S-curve. We see the schedule variance and we see the cost variance. At a certain time, at the moment, we are measuring the status of the project. Other parameters we can find are the SPI, CPI, and CSI. The first one is the Schedule Performance Index, is the SPI, which is the earned value divided by the planned value. The Cost Performance Index is the earned value divided by the actual cost. And for the SPI is in fact showing us the schedule variance and the Schedule Performance Index. How are we doing schedule-wise? And when the earned value is smaller than the planned value or the SPI is smaller than 1, we are behind schedule. For the CPI, when the EV over AC is smaller than 1, it means that we're spending more to create the value than we planned, and we're also over budget. Another parameter is the Cost Schedule Index, the CSI, and it's the multiplication of the SPI and the CPI. The goal of the CSI is to be as close as possible to 1. Based on these parameters, by extrapolation, we can find what we call the estimates of completion. The main estimate I'm not talking about here, I didn't mention it in the slide, is the project manager's estimate. The project manager is the person who understands what the things are about. He or she can give the best estimate. Now, it's not based on any formulas, it's just the estimate of the project manager. But we also have some other estimates that we can use, that we can define, and we can compare them with the estimate of the project manager. So we have some way to calculate that, let's say, the other estimates. The first is the mathematical estimate. We also call it the optimistic. So we just assume that the remaining part, we already created some earned value. The remaining part is the budget at completion minus the value we already created. That's the remaining value. We assume that that will be completed as planned. Then we have the CPI-based estimate. We call it the probable estimate. And here we assume that the remaining part of the project will have the same CPI. So we have to divide the back minus earned value management divided by the CPI. Or we can use the simplified formula, the budget at completion divided by the CPI. The last one is the CSI-based estimate, which is the pessimistic estimate. And then here we divide the remaining value to be earned, back minus EV, by the CSI. Other parameters that are important, the revised total duration. We can calculate the revised total duration by dividing the duration with the SPI. It's an indication. Now, the best element to evaluate duration is to look at the Gantt chart. Then we have the two complete performance index. So when we have a new estimate, we have an estimate at completion. And what we want to know now is what will be the CPI that we have to realize to get the project completed within the allocated budget. So that's the estimate at completion. That's the estimate or the new budget that we got. And we have to divide the back minus the EV, the remaining earned value, divided by the estimate at completion minus the actual cost. That's the remaining cost that we expect to have. Then we have the variance at completion, which is in fact the estimate at completion minus the budget at completion. And we see the difference here. It gives us, or it should be the back minus the estimate at completion, because when the VAC is negative, then we have in fact a negative, we are, let's say, above budget, and that's important to know that. So it should be back minus EAC. So that's it for the follow-up part, the schedule, the cost, and the basic principles of earned value management. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye bye.